Um, no, I'm just using my phone. I got work computers, but this is just surveillance and I got my I wrote a little bit down here, but yeah, I don't know if I can share screens. I think you see.
Well, if you didn't prepare anything on your screen, then like like if you have something that you want to show us, then you would have to share your screen.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I haven't. No, I don't got anything on the screen. Not this time around.
Okay. All right.
But
So things are going good.
yeah, they're going good. Well, yeah, well, not bad, but they're maybe a little bit stuck. I could say, yeah. The thing is, I'm actually doing. I think I might be doing. I'm doing a little bit of. I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm doing a little bit. So I think I need to put more pick and choose. What I should put focus on, and I'm kind of like juggling maybe too many things at the same time. They're all supposed to connect or tie into each other, but yeah, there's a little bit. I feel like I'm moving very slowly.
Well, I think everybody's in that same situation. So
all right, that was good.
One of the things that I wanted to share with everybody today is how I've made a lot of decisions on kind of what I'm going to focus on and what I'm going to stop focusing on, just because nobody has that much time.
Right.
Everything. Yeah. Oh. So that's the process I'm going through too.
All right. So it's going to be a good call, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if other people come on. Have you seen that Brian is going this whole psychedelics thing?
Yeah, he just I haven't really. I'm so busy, but yeah, I'm waiting for like a moment I can dive more into it. But he's been doing occasional vlogs about his ayahuasca experience in Peru, I think, and he just finished it. So he was at the airport going back, and he's done with it. But I think they filmed a lot of things. They're going to make a movie out of it, like with Dan Pena and the Iron Mind. So.
Yeah, I haven't been following it much, but I saw just one video. I think he was in Costa Rica. And
oh yeah, Costa Rica. Yeah, he's there. He was there.
And he's going through all these ceremonies, and I don't know. That's your area of expertise, so you should maybe try to.
Yes, it's one of those things. Like if I see ayahuasca, I tune in, but I'm more a little bit like doing my own thing, and I'm like, yeah, well, okay, I know he's doing that, and I'm checking that out soon. But he's just been doing those quick vlogs, like when he was doing Iron Mind. But then they are. I don't know if he will have episodes of it, or if he'll just do the whole thing as a movie called Dissolution. I think he has had it before, but this time around he's having it in Costa Rica. He is having few of them, or at least I don't know, maybe few ceremonies, and he hasn't done it in maybe 5 or 6 years. So I'm actually pretty excited about his experience, what he will get out of it, because now he got like a very big thing going on with London Real, all the academies, and first time I found it was through typing ayahuasca. So he hasn't been doing it ever since then. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see what he. I mean, it gives you like this overview of your life, and a lot of things have been happening in his life, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I was thinking that you should invite him as a guest on your show to talk about.
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe I should reach out,
because that would give your Planet Olafur a big kind of social marketing promotion when you're on his show, and then you get to share it on his on his channels.
Yeah, maybe I can reach out to him, because I was a student of the academy.
Well, it's not only that you were a student of the academy, but your show is about psychedelics.
Yeah, exactly.
Psychedelics. So that ties directly into what he's doing.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Amy, what's up?
Amy, you're frozen. Hello, Amy.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, we're just talking about Brian's latest kind of journey where he's into psychedelics, and he just got back from Costa Rica. And I just suggested to Olafur that he should invite Brian to be on his show.
That's right. Yes.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So, Amy, how you been doing? I saw that you have some great news to share with everybody today.
Yeah, it's kind of old news, but it's new for everybody who's getting my message.
Let's
But
see
no,
if,
I mean, I will.
let's see if Ishmael. Hi, Ishmael.
Hi,
Hey.
hi Jean, hi Amy, hi Olaf.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else is going to join, but I think smaller groups sometimes are better because that way we get to talk about everybody's kind of what they're up to. I think everybody has some very important things to share. We're always interested in how Ishmael is doing because he's in the BizAc. Amy's got some updates to share that she can talk about. And I was talking to Oli before you guys called in. And we're going to let Oli go first. And maybe you can also talk about strategies to invite Brian on your show.
Yeah, I need to, yeah. Send him a really good pitch. I need to get back to the chapter he was teaching us how to pitch, and try to get him on, see if it works.
So,
right.
So the stage is yours. People who call in, they'll just go directly and they call in. Yeah.
All right. I'm at work, so I need to keep my eyes on this screen as well. But I'm also here. I got a screen here with a little bit of a text. I just got a little bit more prep to answer for like the business commitment. You were asking me about business commitment. I didn't really have any solid answer. And the thing is, at the moment, I don't have any like immediate business plans, like products or services. Planet Olaf. That's the new name of my podcast. I don't have any like Planet Olaf products going on. Hey, what's up, David?
Hey, David.
One more.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
Hey guys.
We're just getting started. We're kind of going around. Everybody's going to give kind of an update on the business side of their podcast, and Olafur is going first. So we're going to just let him give us a quick 5-minute update. Yeah.
Yes. So like right now at the moment, I have I'm just starting my local fitness training business. So I got like a little bit of I got the Facebook page for that, and I use a little bit of Snapchat for that, and I actually got like a client recently. So that's like $200, and I might have another client joining soon, like online training. But it is in Icelandic, and it's just a local thing. So I'm just getting that thing up and running. And of course, eventually it will tie in with my podcast or my YouTube channel, Planet Olaf. But I don't have any like immediate plans with Planet X. Maybe, I don't know. I could print T-shirts, something like that. But none of those like premium or like bigger high ticket services. But at the moment, I got that thing going on, the training thing. Okay, we got Joe.
Oh.
Hey, what's up?
Joel. Hi.
Joel.
Guys. Hi.
Yeah. Oli is just giving us a quick business update. So go ahead, keep on going, Oli.
Yes. All right. So in February, as I told you maybe last time, I will be having my own ayahuasca training in Portugal. It's not just a ceremony. I will be learning how to cook it, how to hold like a ceremonial space, and all kinds of breathing exercise, meditation exercises. And I'm going to mix it in with my personal fitness trainer thing. And by that time, I hope that I will be able to present more of maybe like services on Planet Olaf. And the thing is, like when I take my personal fitness trainer thing like global, I will be Planet Olaf will be the platform for it. So I could say I'm having like a little bit of a local test run in Icelandic. My Icelandic page is called Enka Þjálfara Oli. So I don't know if you guys can Google look it up.
Now your goal
was that an A or an I? I was typing that down there when you said. Okay.
Oh yeah, let me see. It actually contains letters that are non-existent in the English Rome. We use Rome. Hold on, I can show you how it looks like. Let me see.
Holy moly.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's I don't got anything like Planet Olaf thing going on at the moment. I'm getting this up and running, and let me see. I have it. So, and actually, I might maybe next year join like a life coach, program. So it's all still building up, and so I don't have any, how do I say, like I can't really confirm any business. I don't have any. Yeah, I'm still playing with a lot of ideas and establishing myself a little bit locally with regular services as a personal fitness trainer. But as you may hear, that I'm throwing into it a lot of different types of things into the mix, like psychedelics and.
Yeah, Oli, let me ask you this: how important is your podcast to selling training, whether it's online or offline? I mean, we all started with a podcast, but how important is that podcast to the things that you're doing business-wise with both online training and offline training?
Well, it might not be like linked that much at the moment. Actually, my plan was to have a bunch of people. My niche was the psychonauts and the gym rats, but I haven't really got much of those fitness people on. I think I need to get more of them on, just for my audiences and also for myself, just to talk to and to get into what they're doing. So it's a little bit unrelated maybe at the moment, but yeah. So it's kind of at the moment it's a little bit separate.
Okay. Well, I think one of the things that Brian talks about, and the thing that will help all of us succeed, is really being focused. So you have a lot of great things going on, but they seem like they're kind of all over the place.
That's exactly that's the case. Exactly.
So
and I've always been a little bit like that, but I'm using this opportunity to try to get like a laser focus. As I said earlier, I'm juggling maybe too many things, and I got those 3 things going on actually, like the podcast, the personal fitness training thing, and then I got another thing going on, which is it was a program I was doing for 2 months before joining the podcast program, and that has to do with actually how to sell premium price packages and those things. So I'm also just studying a lot on that, and just not really selling anything, or I'm trying to create packages, and so my brain is a little bit all over the place, and
actually, I don't think it matters that I think it's great that you're doing all of these things. Let's see if in 2 weeks at the next meeting, you can kind of prioritize what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm still trying to prioritize, and I hope I get a better picture. I got a little bit of a blueprint for the next year or so, like in months, but I need to put it down to year break. I was breaking it down into months. I need to break those months down into weeks, perhaps days.
I think that's will be a kind of a commitment for you to share with us in 2 weeks, how you're organizing that priority. Where this is kind of your focus, and this is how it drives your business. Once you have that blueprint, then you can do all of these things and have them drive the priority.
Yes, I actually structured a blueprint with like frames, but I haven't filled out the frames. I got the dates, I got the times, but I haven't really filled out. So I'm still figuring out that. But definitely by next call I'll have it even more nailed down. So yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, all of these calls will be recorded. When I share mine, you're going to see that I'm going through the exact same process as you are. And I want to focus, and then all of my other activities are really driving the primary focus. So when I go through that, hopefully that'll give you some ideas.
Right.
All right, so let's just move on real quick to see where everybody's at. Let's start with Amy Jo. She has some good news to share, and I think she's getting everything on track. Why don't you update everybody?
Yeah, little by little, I am kind of working to where I wanted to be at the end of the course. So I have, I'm starting to revisit my friends list on Facebook and direct message everybody, because I tried doing a mass message with everybody's name, but I couldn't figure it out. So I'm doing it one by one, and it's good. I'm, seeing what everybody's up to. People are responding. I'm getting a lot of really good, like, great job, I'll check it out, or, just really encouraging messages. And I also had an artist who I'm not sure how I connected. Somewhere along the way I connected with this artist, and he wants to be interviewed. So things like
Another
that.
person for your show.
Yeah, exactly. So, just like
Awesome.
Brian said, when you reach out to these people individually, things happen like that. So that's happening, and that's really cool. Yeah, so I have my 8 episodes live. I have two more in the bag that I just have to edit and get up there, and I'm trying to kind of keep my Instagram. I've kind of set up a formula that I'm using. I have my my What Matters Wednesday, where I vlog every Wednesday about what matters that week or that day, and that's one video that I have on my Instagram, and then I have the latest episode. So I'll have a little picture of that with the title, and then I have a piece of my art or something from nature that inspires me, something like that. So I'm almost caught up on that, and just kind of getting everything to where I feel a little more on top of things.
No, it
There's a
sounds
lot
like
going on in my life as well. We're trying to sell our house soon, and yeah, just taking care of my son, which is my first priority, and all of my other projects. As Oli was speaking, I felt, yeah, I feel like that. I've always been like that. I've always spread myself too thin, got involved in so many things, and I lose laser focus on a lot of projects because I have so many things going on. So these calls are super helpful. And Joel and I have been, we're accountability buddies. So we've been going back and forth every week, and just coming up with a couple, a small list of things that we want to do that week. And that's been really helpful too. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and I
great.
also, like, for the business side of it, I just have all these ideas of things that I want to create. I've in the past couple years, I learned how to screen print, so I'm thinking of things that I can still create, like original art that I can create but mass produce, like screen print. So I have like tons of canvases and just kind of abstract paintings that I want to screen print on top of. So I want to do like a mandala design, or just a few designs, and have that as like a small ticket offering. And then
Yeah.
I have a book of quotes, I think I was talking about last week. So I have my notebook, and
All the things that you're learning, like screen printing,
yeah,
that would be great to put together like videos for
a
your audience.
tutorial. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And that's just more content.
Yeah, and another thing about more content is the thing on Instagram, because I didn't have an episode in my episode column. I have, it's the background with the colorful background of my logo, and then I put one of your quotes on it. I don't know if you saw that.
One of my quotes?
Yeah, one of your quotes.
Really? No.
Yeah, on Instagram.
I'm not really on Instagram.
Okay. Well, check it out. So I did that. So I'm just, I just opened up our interview, and I just listened wherever I started. I just picked up a really good quote. You had a lot of really good things to say, so I didn't have to listen very long. And yeah, and then so that's another thing, another way to get some content out there is to just put quotes from the people that I interview.
I think that's an awesome idea. That's awesome. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were saying that a lot of people have been engaging you and replying to sending you messages. What is the primary way that you engage with your audience? Is it through Instagram, or is it by email, or is it Facebook?
Facebook Messenger primarily.
Facebook Messenger.
As far as like reaching out to tell people about my podcast, but I use Instagram and Facebook to share.
Okay. So the question is.
Guys, I'm sorry, I apologize. Is everybody muted? There's I'm kind of already listening to the great conversation, but I'm hearing some rustling and paper and stuff that's coming through the mic. Is that everybody hearing?
There it goes. There, it stopped. Who was that?
Appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thanks, David, for bringing that up. That was kind of bothering me too. Yeah. So
Engagement is what you're saying. How do I engage?
No, my question was, you're doing direct messages with a lot of people, and that's great for building your email list and your following. Have you thought about, having more kind of discussions or conversations where people are not only just engaged with you one-on-one, but they can engage with each other through your platform? Like if you have a Facebook group where you're having a discussion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
perfect,
where you
yeah.
drive more attention, is not just them direct messaging you, but somebody makes a comment and then everybody's replying to that. Have you thought
Right.
about
So
how to do
what
that?
would be beneficial is for me to create an Awaken the Creative Facebook group
Yes.
where people can where they can share things that have inspired them creatively, and I can share things, and yeah, that's really good. And then another thing that I was just thinking about is with with the Artist Way, the book that I found, the class that I took, you can create creative clusters. So, like groups of people that get together and talk about, things that in the book and other, projects that you're working on. So I had that idea to start a creative cluster as well. So I could create, it could be one, or I could create two different communities. I don't know.
Yeah. So why don't you just tell us, what is your commitment over the next 2 weeks that you're going to report on at the next meeting?
Okay. Well, it's easy enough to start a Facebook group. So I'll start a Facebook group
And invite all of us.
Yeah, invite everybody so we can talk about stuff.
Okay.
And then I just
That's
want to
enough.
keep on.
That's
Well, I want to keep on getting through my list. So I got all the way to G today.
Okay.
So
Well, we just want to make sure that everybody kind of commits to doing something
right.
Valuable for their business that they commit to, and they're going to share with us next time kind of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So yours is, you're actually going to create a Facebook group so you can start driving more engagement and conversations about.
That's a great idea.
About
Thank
your
you for
art.
that advice.
Okay, so great job, Amy. So David, we haven't seen you on a lot of these calls. Thank you for joining. Basically what we do in this call is we kind of, everybody spends about 5 minutes to just share where they're currently at with their podcast and the business side. And then, as you can see, we kind of make a commitment of what we're going to do by the next 2 weeks so we can update everybody on our progress. So why don't you kind of give us a little bit of update, because we haven't really heard.
Yeah, so guys, thank you for the group, and thank you for being here. Yeah, I must apologize. I'm not the most consistent. I've since doing the LR course, I've had to kind of slow everything down to a more manageable pace to fit in with everything else that I'm doing, and realize that I'm going to make progress in smaller increments than perhaps the average. And once I got comfortable with that, I've made steady progress. And that includes, by the way, my consistency and participation of this group. Please don't misinterpret that for my lack of perceived value of this group or for you guys. I appreciate it, and I'll be in and be as consistent as I can be. So thank you. My progress. So as you guys are aware, I have, 2 podcasts, Functional Challenge and Hero Science. Hero Science, to be honest with you guys, in brief summary, I'm having a hard time monetizing or considering how I'm going to monetize that concept. And that's probably a product of being spread too thin, and possibly even a little bit of not the greatest planning when I started that. I kind of do Hero Science more at this point for my own enjoyment and the kinds of conversations that platform allows me to get into. And I just like that. I haven't figured out how to monetize that. On the other hand, Functional Challenge, I've made fairly significant progress. Not to the point that I'm swiping credit cards, but for the sense that I've just proofed out my first prototype. And what that is Functional Challenge, as you guys may be aware of, is I'm seeing kind of an overlap with Oliver here. So my background's in healthcare, and the premise of that whole concept is that people in healthcare and health generally don't take care of themselves. So there's very high rates of burnout in amongst healthcare providers. In fact, 52% of the US physicians are looking to get into other professions because they hate their job. They're burnt out, and that's for various reasons. So I've tried to cross over, two aspects. That's burnout and kind of practicing what you preach. So the way it works is we have monthly or bi-monthly challenges that are around certain healthcare systems and parts of the body and certain challenges. For example, this is what I was trying to share. My progress is that we've just finished right now our first cardio bulletproof heart challenge. So basically that was everybody being on a plant-based diet for 8 weeks and doing an Olympic rowing program. So I interviewed an Olympic, two Olympian, one is a U.S. Olympic coach for rowing, and the other was a two-time world champion. They're a husband and wife, and I interviewed them. They gave their program, and then I also interviewed 2 cardiologists, and then we basically joined these 2 things into a challenge that a group of 15 physicians went through. So I had an anesthesiologist, I've got chiropractors on there, I've got some nurses on there, different people, and they go through the challenge for 8 weeks. And what we do is we monitor blood work, and we monitor all of our changes physically. So we monitored everything to the nth degree. And what that did is it familiarized the people that went through it on, all of the lab work that needs to be monitored, and then they all experienced what that's like. So had a tremendously good response to that. And as a consequence of having that first prototype group, I needed to do a prototype group because I wasn't prepared to charge people for that yet. But having just finished that first group that's gone through, it's a very valuable concept that I have no problem charging for. Everybody
let me, sorry to interrupt you for a second, but let me go back to the kind of the very first thing you said is you said that you're having difficulty figuring out how you're going to monetize your podcast. So the question about the 2 podcasts.
Yep.
So monetizing your podcast. So my question is are the podcasts themselves going to be the primary business driver of you actually generating revenue? Mm-hmm. Or the podcast just something that's going to help you promote your groups and the things that you're actually doing offline? I mean, how do you think about that?
Okay, so I'm just watching my time here, not to take up too much time, but the idea is I have 2 podcasts. The one I've kind of deferred looking at monetizing that for a while until I get to develop some episodes. But the second one that I'm referring to right now, we've definitely made progress and kind of got into the first trial group that's going through something which is my plan to monetize. And that is essentially the podcast that is coordinated. So the podcast is a community, not just a podcast, it's a community. Give me a second, guys. Excuse me for 1 second. It's a community. So essentially everyone that's in the podcast community goes through this behavior of listening to a month's worth of episodes, and then at the end of each month deciding whether to engage in the associated challenge. And that is on track to be monetized. And the way that it works is people will pay to participate in these scheduled challenges. And I've just taken the first prototype group through my first prototype trial. And I've got their feedback, how much would you guys be willing to pay for this? And it's very promising. So I'm on track to definitely monetize that.
Now, do you have a website associated with your podcast? And
yes, I've done 2 things. I could share my screen quick and I'll show you kind of what I've got. And Oliver, this may help you. So,
yeah, please share your screen.
Yeah. So I have this website right here, which is my website. And then I have all my current projects on here. So those are my two podcasts. The one is Functional Challenge, and this is the Hero Science podcast. And I have all of my other projects that I have here kind of like listed on here. So Oliver, that might help you to kind of have a central hub on your for your stuff, because you sound like me, like you're into a lot of stuff. So I was going to say to Oliver, this exercise helped me by having to create a website and to give a brief summary of the different projects that I'm involved in. It helped me to kind of focus on what first steps needed to be taken and what creates commitment for me. And it also helps to say, okay, kind of what are some of the crossover themes and some of the efforts that can be shared. So on Functional Challenge, this one, I'm in the beginning stages of building that website. And that will have all the podcast episodes and then also the challenges themselves where people can sign up. And I have, unfortunately, I don't have that on the surface here, but I've started to build this website and it should launch within a week or 2. Where I'll actually.
Are you building it yourself? And what are you using to build it with?
Yeah, I'm actually building it completely myself. I'm using Squarespace.
Okay, because it looks really good.
Yeah. So
how about the graphics? Are you designing those yourself, or do you hire a designer?
Yes, I used to build websites for a living, so all of this I've done myself, but it's pretty easy on Squarespace. It's very easy. This over here, I have a buddy of mine that's a graphic designer, so I don't have time for a lot of this, and I have him do logos and designs for all of my business. He's great.
Looks great.
His name is David Litwin. If you guys want talk to him. He has a business called, his business is called Pure Fusion Media, and he's based out of he's in Arizona. He's in Tucson, Arizona, but he does, all of his clients are all done over the essentially over the web. So Pure Fusion Media. So he designed these for me, and then I've got the photography done for each of these websites that I'm building as well. Actually, I'll show you guys another one of my projects right here, which is this is another one where I used Squarespace for the prototype. So that's this over here. This is one of my other projects. So we had this is just it started off as a Squarespace website. Very simple.
Wow, your websites look really good. So one of the things that we did on the last one, I don't know if you watched the replay, is, you know, what can this group help you with? I'm sorry, David, did you hear me? It's one of the things that we try to do with this group is, you know, what can the rest of this group kind of help you with, you know, whether it's ideas or feedback or liking your page, or and how can we help you even like stay accountable? Like, do you want to comment on what you're going to do for the next 2 weeks and kind of push yourself to report back to us? This is what I did from last time.
Yes, I appreciate that question as a last question to wrap up here, so I don't take up everybody's time. So I appreciate the question. Here it is what I could use is you know, some exposure on my podcast. That'd be cool. Thank you. Okay. And I have 2 Facebook groups. I have one for Functional Challenge, and I also have one for Hero Science. I created 2 groups, but I haven't really promoted those. And exactly as Amy Jo said, I'm on the same plan as her, where I'm like, I decided to do a slow launch to kind of get my numbers up. I've tripled my numbers on Functional Challenge podcast. I'm starting to get a lot of traction. I'm growing week on week significantly. And it's so that's the one thing, the Facebook group. So they're not tremendous numbers, but the people that are on there are committed to the podcast and are engaging in it. So I'm seeing engagement in my podcast as a multiplier of what the Facebook groups are. So just helping me get exposure there. And then in terms of accountability, as I wrap it up here, I'm launching the Functional Challenge website. So as I launch it, that's what I want to be held accountable for, is just to have that website up.
Okay, well, we have I think Joel created a Facebook group just for us. So the things that you want us to like or share, you can share them in the Podcasters that Shine group. That's kind of our Team Castaneda group. And then we'll know to go to the page, like it, join it. When you have a podcast, we can, you know, we may not all listen to everybody's podcast, but at least we can give it a like.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
All right. So, well, thank you for sharing and thank you for joining. I'm going to go to Joel now, because Joel, you sent somebody forwarded an email that you had disconnected from Facebook or something like that. You want to kind of, you're muted. You have to unmute yourself. Still can't hear you. You're no longer muted. Oh, there you go. So somebody forwarded me an email from you that something happened and you're quitting Facebook.
Yeah, I forwarded Abby's email.
Oh, that was Abby's.
Yeah. I know there was only a few people on the email link, so I tried to spread it around as many people as emails I had. So that was
Abby who quit Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
okay. So it wasn't you. So, well, I'm glad to see you on board. So why don't you go ahead and kind of give everybody an update on, you know, what's the latest with you and
okay,
especially on the business side.
Right. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the podcast fits with my business, which is coaching. Obviously people in their midlives, but I've been aiming it directly at midlife crisis. And the feedback I'm getting from some people is that they don't really want to discuss or admit that they might be having a midlife crisis. So, and that's you know, I get it. So what I've also realized is the people that I'm aiming it at is people like me, but if I aim at people like me who are like, I class myself as a working man, so I'm shop floor. They're not going to be able to afford my services.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Unless they want to invest heavily in themselves. I mean, this is people I work with that are of the same mindset that they want to get out of the job they're in.
Mm.
But I'm the only one that's investing in himself the way I am to try and move myself out of that situation. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to work themselves out of it rather than trying to expand the things they can do to get themselves out of it.
Yeah, no, I can see. Is it possible for you to create kind of low cost products, digital products that are anonymous for people to actually engage or register for?
Yeah, that's probably something I have got on my whiteboard.
Okay.
But as with everything, it's time. So yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking of doing, because I've sort of come to the realization I need people that are higher up the chain than myself
Right.
to sustain this. I've landed my first paid client, who's an estate agent, he's told me, he said, I've got no monetary worries, but he's lost. So, and he's been referred to me by somebody who obviously thinks I can help. So, and he's lost. So he's got money, but he's lost his mojo.
Let me ask you this: What was he referred to you from somebody who's listened to your podcast, or just somebody who knows you?
Well, someone that's listened to my podcast, but also someone that I've been in a mastermind with in the past. So knowing that it's aimed at midlife crisis and everything else. But what I'm trying to get at is this guy that's come to me now, like you say, he's got no financial concerns and he owns his own business, but his problems he's having now were the problems I had 3 years ago. So the problems don't change. The situation might change and the financial situation might change, but you know, the bigger picture doesn't seem to change. So that's given me reassurance that the fact that I want to target people higher up the ladder sort of gives me a feeling that I'm on the right track.
Now, are you still broadcasting now? How many episodes are you?
I've only got 9 out. I released one last week. I've been very hit and miss. Consistency's been pants. But yeah, so I've been rethinking everything, because when I was looking at my site, I noticed it seems very dark, and it's not bringing. I don't think it's bringing the true me out in the podcast, because I'm quite light anyway. But I suppose I'm just trying to approach, what I feel is a subject I'm quite passionate about, and it's quite serious when you think of the fact that you'd only here for so long.
Yeah.
But I've probably engaged with that content the wrong way.
Yeah,
So
I think what you're going through and what Olafor's going through, I'm going through the exact same thing. And one of the things that I'm going to share with you in a little bit is, from the business point of view, the podcast is kind of no longer the key driver of business objectives. And I'm going to share with you kind of how I've kind of rethought the business strategy and where the podcast fits into that. So well, we're all in the same boat.
Yes. I apologize, Gene, to interrupt you briefly.
No.
Joel, this is a guy on Instagram, and he's called Midlife
Crisis Warrior.
Yeah, you seen that?
No, thank you, David.
It actually might inspire you. He's kind of a dude that just he's got a very positive way of going about it, and leave it at that. You can check it out yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Joel, I think from the business side, which is really what we want to focus on here, I think thinking about those low-cost digital products where people can just maybe buy them and pay for anonymous. I mean, that's what Ishmael can talk about. We want to hear Ishmael's got this shopping cart and he's selling some low-cost products and some core products. That's probably the way to go if you want to start trying to turn it into a business.
Okay.
All right. So with that, Ishmael, we would love to hear an update about as far as your BizAc and how well your products are selling in your shopping cart.
Okay, guys. Okay, so you can see me. Okay. Cool. So what's happening for me this week? As of Thursday evening, I will be. You guys see me because it
Yeah.
seems. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So I will have now on Thursday a film made. So it will be made while I'm working, and they're gonna film me. I'm gonna do my speech. I'm gonna bring out my message, and then they're gonna build it with like music. So I have like an intro that I'm always gonna use when I put my video courses online.
Okay.
So that's going to happen on Thursday. So that's on this week. And as of today, I had a meeting. So now it's official. I told you I was approached weeks ago already by a hair cosmetic brand. So, and they asked me from September, end of September, to they would like me. They have like a kind of meeting. They call it the round table. Uh, and it's like every 2 to 3 months, and they would like me to come over there and do like an inspirational speech. So I took that assignment, and also they bring out a newsletter where I'm gonna have like in every newsletter a podcast episode highlighted with the topic that is related to what they bring in their newsletter. So for me, it's gonna be like I will have multiplied my leads from that point. I'm gonna multiply my leads. I'm gonna bring myself out. I'm gonna be able to talk with people real like real life, and then I'm gonna like collect them and lead them to my shopping cart. And my next plan on that is it changed this week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make like a landing page for each product.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a landing page for each product. So every time that I highlight like an episode, I'm gonna link like a product around it, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna make a separate landing page so I can collect their emails. And so that's how I'm gonna multiply my reach and hopefully make sales from that. So, and that's what I've been working on the last 14 days. So that's
Are
my
you
update.
doing any SEO,
What's SEO?
search engine optimization, and are you looking at the analytics of where traffic is coming to your landing page? Are you?
Okay, so I will be working on that from next week, because I'm working on a system. So I met like a Dutch guy, and I have to talk with him. He has like a system, because what we do now is create a landing page, let people sign in. Yes. So, and his ideas you have to change. So you have also to tease them, and you have to ask them. You give them like a little offer, but in return they have to refer you to like 5 friends or 5 uh, people they know.
Yeah.
So, and that's gonna be like multiply also your reach. And then I will have like a system to keep the analytics with me. But I'm working on that. That is like my next assignment for the next 14 days. So I will be
Oh, that
working
would be
on
great, because
Yeah.
we would love to see the analytics of your
Yes.
landing pages.
Yeah,
What is the conversion rate? What is the click-through rate?
Yeah.
That's taking this whole BizAct to the next level when you start looking at
Yes.
analytics.
Yes. So my next step is now because I'm working on my last week now, because it's very busy with us at the business. So and then I will have 2 weeks of holidays. But I committed myself. I'm gonna work like every day, like an hour and a half, on my podcast and on the project. So I don't have anything around my ears. You know, I can focus and really focus on that. So normally within 2 weeks, I will have some results. I would hopefully show you.
Okay, that's great.
That's
We
my aim.
look forward to hearing about that in 2 weeks.
I apologize, guys. If I could just have 20 seconds, I just want to point something out that I didn't say when I was talking. One of the things that I've done that really worked really well for me was I created an ad that I put at the beginning of each of my podcasts. So the perception is, if you listen to my podcast, you'll hear in the first 2 minutes, you'll hear that there's a product being advertised like a sponsor, but it's my own product. And I put a little thing there. And I put a little code that people put in when they come to the product website, and we started tracking that. And we saw a huge increase in sales, where that actually was more than the response in consistent listening in the podcast. So the exposure on my podcast for my other product worked very well because it's in the target audience. So I highly recommend that if you use the first minutes, and if you listen to the Functional Challenge podcast, you'll hear the ad that I have made for my product. And it sounds like that product is the sponsor of my podcast, but it's my own product. And it worked really, really well for us. I did want to share one other thing, Ismail, that you just made me think of, is that I got some really good advice that the highest quality lead that you can get, even more than an email address, is actually a Facebook contact, because people respond to Facebook Messenger way more consistently than they do for email, because they kind of feel obliged because you can see when they've responded. And what you just made me realize, in extension to what I just told you, was I'm actually now going to change the ad on my podcast to drive people to the Facebook page. And if we're doing a promotion or a special, they need to reply yes on the Facebook page to redeem that special. That allows me to secure that Facebook Messenger name, and then we can market through the Facebook Messenger, which I've consistently heard is the highest quality of lead, even above email. So I'm just kind of mixing that you just inspired me to do. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. It's inspiring for me too.
Hey, David, thanks for sharing that. That's all great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we got about a few more minutes. So now it's my turn. I'm going to share my screen because I actually prepared something for everybody. Let's see. Share screen. All right. Is everybody looking at my marketing blueprint screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to, this is kind of a continuation of everything that I've shared over the past 6 weeks. So we all know last time that I said that my marketing brand focus is basically going to be myself. So instead of promoting my business, which is EME China Consultants, now all of my marketing is based on myself as kind of a thought leader. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to share kind of how my media strategy has continued to evolve. And I think Oli and Joel, I think all of you guys we're all struggling through the same thing, is what is the right media strategy to start monetizing? And it shouldn't be just monetizing a podcast, but just monetizing what we're experts in general. So actually what I've decided that everything is going to be centered around my personal website, which is basically a huge landing page. You know, every page on the website will have an opt-in, will have an offer, even the landing page for my webinars is part of my website. And also I'm going to focus on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is more reaches more of my direct audience. And not just that, it's not that I don't think Facebook reaches the same people, it's just that a lot of my direct target audience is actually in China. And Facebook is actually blocked in China, but LinkedIn is not. So I've decided to make my primary focus of my media strategy basically LinkedIn and my personal website as a landing page. And so, of course, my landing page is really driving my email list. And the thing that I'm promoting now, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is basically this free series of Mindset for China business webinars. So I already did the first webinar last week, and then I have the next webinar next week. It's basically, I'm going to do one every other week for 9 weeks. And I'm using this webinar series as a chance to not only engage more people, but to build my email list and also to build content. Now, the primary way that I promote my webinar series is through Meetup, because I have 3 Meetup groups that total about 10,000 members. So I'm probably getting more registrations directly from Meetup. And that's the primary kind of social link that I'm using. Obviously, I'm using all of the other Facebook groups and LinkedIn, but I think Meetup is the primary driver for me. And when I recorded my first webinar last week, I discovered that that is great, what they call long form content, or it's called pillar content. So it's at the top of the pyramid. And from that content, just that raw recording of me giving a webinar, I can do a webinar replay that goes to YouTube. I can just repurpose the audio portion of that and post it to Apple Podcast. There's also a Q&A that can go to YouTube. And then people ask me questions when they respond to my emails. And I've already started answering those questions with a vlog. So when I record that vlog, it's like a 3 or 4 minute answer to one of the questions that my participants have asked. That goes to YouTube. And then the audio remix of that can again go to Apple Podcasts. So this is creating a lot more content repurposed just from one piece, from one event where I gave a 1-hour webinar. I can create all of this additional content. It's also copy for the newsletter that I send to my email list. And it's also content for articles and blogs that I write. The blogs will be on my website. The articles will be in LinkedIn. And then now I'm also publishing them to Medium. And when I publish them on Medium, you can re-promote those to Facebook and to LinkedIn and to Twitter and to Instagram. So once I do all of that, there's some content and copy that I need to create. So I need to write a description for the vlogs. I need to write a description for the reposts. I need to write a description for the YouTube description. I also need to create attractive titles for both YouTube and LinkedIn groups. And then I also create a kind of a promotional image that I use as a thumbnail for YouTube, but I also use as a thumbnail for my blog post. And I'm going to show you that and how important that is for LinkedIn in just a minute. And then everything that goes through this cycle goes to my marketing blueprint. Okay, so once any piece of content goes out, it gets shared on my personal Facebook timeline, my Facebook group CLD Nation, my expert page in Facebook, other Facebook groups like Expats in Shanghai Facebook group, and it gets shared in my company page in Facebook. And then in LinkedIn, it goes out even more. It goes, of course, there's a LinkedIn post, my company page, my CLD Nation page, my meetup group page, and then all of these other LinkedIn groups that I found on LinkedIn. And you add up all these group members, and it's over 100,000 people. So I've discovered that LinkedIn groups is a great way for me to reach my target audience. And then the marketing blueprint all goes back to my Facebook page, my personal website. So the cycle is everything will drive traffic back to my website, which is now my primary landing page. So that is, again, helping me collect more emails. And again, the content that I repurpose, the segments where I answer a question, a blog that I write, now I'm putting these into newsletters that's going back to my email list. So just from doing one webinar, I've created this whole ecosystem of content and connections that's all driving people to my website and my landing page. It's populating my email address, and it's creating more content for my newsletters. So this is just what I wanted to share with everybody, that is kind of like my media strategy to give everybody some ideas. Now, my webinar, there's going to be 9 of them. So the stats, the first one was I had 22 RSVPs. So what does that mean? That means I collected 22 email addresses of people who actually registered. And I'm doing double opt-in. So they registered and they opted in. but actually only 3 people attended the live webinar. Okay, so there's a lot of time zone issues, but this is just the early stats. But what I've discovered is through the email marketing, a lot of people have engaged with me, sending me a message saying, sorry, I missed the live event. And then when they get the replay, they can ask me more questions. And through those questions, I can create kind of vlogs to answer their questions, and it just goes in a cycle. The KPIs that I'm measuring, so I did this really early on in the process, but now really the only KPI that I'm worried about is email subscribers. And I think YouTube is going to be a big driver. So I'm starting to really try to do videos and vlogs and post all those to YouTube to drive that. So one of the things that you guys all know is I did a hard GDPR reset. So basically I wiped my email subscribers to 0. And I started from a baseline of 0 to build everybody back up who wants to opt in, wants to receive the newsletter, and it's a double opt-in. I'm only up to 39 now, but basically I don't have any kind of people who aren't interested in my content. So everybody who's on my email list now, they're not friends and family. They're actually people who I don't know who actually opted in. And the last thing that I wanted to share is, and this is kind of the things that we're discussing, is really the strategic adjustments that I've made over this past 4 weeks of things that I've discovered about the business side. So one of the things is I'm going to spend a lot less time trying to invite guests on my podcast because it's too time consuming to actually do all of that now. I do have guests scheduled, and I do have guests that I'm communicating with that will be scheduled, but it's not a priority for me now to just have guests on my show, because I'm going to start repurposing a lot of my own content for Apple Podcasts instead of having these long 45-minute to an hour interview shows. I'm going to do more focus on repurposing my long-form pillar content for Apple Podcasts. So that's what I showed in the media blueprint, where just from one webinar, I can create a ton of other types of content. I'm going to be spending more emphasis on LinkedIn and YouTube. I'm going to really focus on driving engagement to my personal webpage, which is really a landing page. I'm going to hire interns to create a show where they're just interviewing me, and that'll create a lot more long-form content that can be repurposed. Okay, so that's basically what I'm doing. I wanted to show everybody something while I still have the screen share that I think is really interesting about LinkedIn, and how LinkedIn can be a really, really good driver for engagement. Okay, so if you look at my LinkedIn page, okay, what I've started to do is you can see that if it goes to your web page and you have a really large, attractive kind of like thumbnail image, people can read it directly on your LinkedIn profile. So like here, don't let unknown unknowns cost you millions in China. Solve your China leadership dilemmas with 2 essential soft skills. Become a master of cross-cultural performance. This just becomes a direct click. So they click on this, all right? They get this big title, and they can read a little description right here, right? And then they click view, and it goes directly to my web page. All right? And then they can read this blog. And then, of course, all of the opt-ins are right here on the side panel, right? They can even connect with me on Facebook and LinkedIn here. They can sign up for my free webinar here. They can join my Facebook group here. And this is all from LinkedIn, where I get the most traffic, right? Even here, don't allow your unknown unknowns to cost you millions in China. You click view, it goes directly to my website, which is my landing page. All right, so that's basically what I wanted to share as far as, I don't know, how I'm driving traffic to my landing page, how I'm using my landing page, and basically how these webinars. So my first webinar was Ishmael's. Ishmael did a webinar before I even did my webinar, and Ishmael, I don't know if you recorded it. I don't know if you did a lot of Q&A, but when you do these webinars, I recorded my webinar and it went really well. And I just published that webinar, the portion where I'm doing the presentation, sharing screens. I just published that. It's like 25 minutes. And then the Q&A, where people are asking questions and I'm sitting in a red leather chair and I'm answering those questions, that's going out. And then everything gets repurposed. So you can see in the back that I'm setting up my studio. So I'm going to share this with you next time. So I'm building a studio now. You can see that here I have sound absorption pads to help with the echo. On this wall here, which is more of a blank wall, I have also panels of sound absorption just to help with the sound. I purchased a kind of a high definition webcam, and then you can see that I've put tape on the ground where I stand to record my podcast or my webinars, where this goes when I'm recording myself. I've recently purchased a bunch of these. If anybody is an audio engineer, these are called bass traps. And if you're getting a lot of echo in your room, it's because the way the noise reflects and accumulates in the corners. So you put these bass traps, you stick them on the corners. Like you stick them like right here, stick them in all four corners, stick two of them, and basically those with the sound isolation just absorbs all of the sound. And then suddenly the sound, your sound, which is sounding really kind of like an echo, suddenly it just becomes like really, really professional sounding with just these cheap little styrofoam things that you stick on the walls. So what I'm going to do in 2 weeks is I'm going to share the behind the scenes. I'm going to take photos of where I put it all my sound isolation and my bass traps. You can see where I'm posting the lights. I'll take pictures of the ground, or I've marked where I stand. I've even purchased this table so I can do the webinar standing up. And basically everything is just going to be following through my media strategy, which includes my marketing spread. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm committed to sharing next week. So we're right at an hour. Does anybody have anything they want to share with the group? Time goes really quickly. So
Gene, thanks a lot, man. That was actually really great. That said, I wonder if there's a way in the mindset of what I just mentioned where the Facebook contact is the most valuable for Messenger. Is there a way on our landing page you guys are aware of to try and capture the Facebook connection for the purpose of Messenger? So your landing, so your personal website has been it becomes your where you're driving everybody to, and you're asking for email addresses. Right. Is there a way that we can use that same strategy that you guys are aware of to capture Facebook connections? Or, I mean, I guess LinkedIn, they respond to those messages as well.
Well, I'm not that familiar with Facebook, but from my understanding, the reason that email is effective is because you can sequence everything in an autoresponder. So with Facebook Messenger, I don't know of any, I'm sure they have them, but I'm not aware of the tools that can kind of automate direct messaging people on Facebook. It's almost like a real time. You actually have to copy and paste the message to somebody privately, and then you actually have to respond to them. With the email, all of that is programmed. And when emails come in, they go through this sequence. So you never have to do anything. It's all automated.
You can do that on Messenger.
Oh, you can? Okay.
You can set up auto responses. You can even have it so that when you're responding on Messenger, and you see the little dots and it does the beep, beep, beep thing, you can set the different sequence to different time lengths according to the message you're sending.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it built into Facebook, or is it an add-in?
It's in, if you go to I think it's Facebook Blueprint. It's like a Facebook University.
Okay.
I think I got a link somewhere. I've reviewed it with a friend, so I'll see if I can dig the link out and I'll share it with the group.
Yeah,
it's basically it's a high level review of what the content is within it.
Yeah, if you could share that with the group, I think I would want to take a look at that. I mean, I have nothing against Facebook. I just think my target audience is probably better for LinkedIn, since a lot of them are actually in China. You know, my webinar, 2 out of the 3 live attendees were calling in from Shanghai. So, so they would probably appreciate if I, did more on LinkedIn. So that's the reason I'm doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, David. That's a great question. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, well, the things you got on the wall, I've been looking at those. I can see them on Amazon and AliExpress. Do you recommend any, like, where do you get your from? I actually bought a desk the other day, and I'm a little bit slowly building a office / podcast studio / war room. So yeah, I am, I need to buy those soon.
Well, so the thing is it depends on the shape of your room, and also depends on the size of your room.
It's very small, and it's just like it's just a box, a square, with one door and one window.
Then you definitely need that. So these are extra ones that I had left over. I actually put a big kind of, on this side, I just put a big kind of, right now it's like 3 by 3. So it's 9 of these that form a square. And so it's right in front of this wall that's just reflecting all this sound. And then these bass traps, because it's a square room, you have to put these in the corners, because that's where all the sound reflects to and congregates.
Right.
There's a lot of YouTube videos that kind of tell you how to set up the studio, but I think it's too complicated to really, you have to clap and you have to use mirrors to try to find out the optimal places to put these things.
Yeah, just something good enough, for the time being.
Yeah, for me, just I would say buy 24 of those sound absorption squares and put a couple on the really flat walls, bare walls, especially one that you're speaking towards. Like if you're speaking in this direction, that's where you want a big panel of absorption. And then these are really, really good. These are called bass traps. And you just stick these in the corners, top and bottom, or maybe 2 on the top, and they just don't allow the sound to just reflect around.
All right. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to building like a proper, I'm buying a microphone as well soon, and I'd like, bit by bit I'm building like a more of a, just my podcast or like editing, zone. So yeah.
Well, we
guys,
can't.
I apologize. I've got to jump off, guys. Please excuse me. I've got to roll into another meeting. So thank you guys so much.
All right, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Look forward to seeing you.
So valuable from everybody. Thank you so much.
Yep, see you in 2 weeks. Yeah, so if you can't wait for my update of my studio in the next 2 weeks, I've already posted it behind the scenes on my YouTube channel, which is me walking around with this, my gimbal, and I'm walking around my room, so you can kind of see everything that I've done as far as how I mark the ground. You can see the big panel of sound absorbers on this wall that you can't see right now.
Let me see. Have a look.
Yeah. You're on my YouTube page?
Yeah, YouTube. You have a. Let me see. Do you have like a playlist for the behind the scenes?
I think it's just the latest video.
All right. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh, here it is.
Okay. Gene,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. I have one more question about the webinar. So, how did you really like promote your webinar and to get your audience? Is it purely like so the context, as I understand, came mainly from LinkedIn? So, but how do you promote it? Is it because what I feel is when you get people in your so the people I got in my webinar were people I already knew or knew me, they heard I want to do something, so they clicked in. So but
yeah, so let me show you. I mainly used, of course, I promoted everything through social media,
yes,
Facebook and LinkedIn. But for me, it was Meetup.
Meetup. Okay.
And I'm going to show you right now what I mean. So this is my screen. I have a lot of meetup groups, and I'll just show you exactly what I did. Okay, so this is a meetup group called Shanghai International Meetup. It currently has 7,936 members.
Okay.
And I just posted this event, a Mindset for China webinar series. All right, so if you click on it, it basically, I have a nice little image, I have the details, and this goes directly to my landing page.
Okay.
It goes directly to my landing page. Join the Mindset for China webinar. So a lot of people, so I have the entire description here, and they just have to register once for all 9 webinars. So you can see this one. The next one, already 9 people have RSVP.
Okay.
And they don't even need to RSVP. And then let me show you something else. So when you have a meetup group, you can also post discussions. So everybody in the meetup group can see this, watch the replay of the first webinar. So this will go directly to YouTube, and they can watch the replay of the first webinar. Right?
Okay.
So this is the first webinar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to do webinars, my advice is to create a meetup group, and you can make it a global. I've set my locations, one for Irvine or Orange County and one for Shanghai, because they originally were mainly offline meetup groups. Now that they're online meetup groups, you can actually just make it global, right? You can just create just no fixed location, and then, but you do have to kind of cheat a little bit because Meetup doesn't really like you to just do offline events. So you have to kind of just make it where no location has been set, so people can kind of, they don't know where the event's going to be, and then when they read the description, you link them to your landing page. And then what I do is every time, so I pre-wrote this message. So every time somebody RSVPs, I just copy and paste this message to them. Thank you for registering for this webinar. Please note, you have to register online to confirm your registration. All registered attendees will receive the Zoom link prior to the webinar. And the way that I have the autoresponder programmed in is they get one e-message the day of the event. They get a follow-up message 1 hour before the webinar, and then they get one final one 30 minutes before that says webinar is about to launch. So that will just remind everybody that the webinar is about to start.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, Gene. Thank you.
Yep. Any more questions? I mean, I just don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, but you know, if people have things they want to talk about, I'm happy to stay on.
I'm at work, so I don't mind. I like doing this at work.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're doing this every other week. I think we all have our little commitments to each other on what we're going to report on next week. So just keep on crushing it, everybody, and we're going to continue to support each other and give each other feedback and share everything in the Podcasters That Shine website, Facebook group. When you got something that you want everybody to share or like, just put it there.
Podcasters Who Shine, yeah, that's
the one that Joel created.
I want to share something really quick. I created a podcast for my son, my 3-year-old son.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's called Nikoni's Fire Truck Podcast.
I just want to make sure that I already had to
send us the link, Amy.
Yeah, I will. I'll share it with you guys.
Yeah. Either share it in our group chat or share it on Podcasters That Shine.
I'll do both.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And the funny thing is, you know how it says the average income of your listeners, your audience. But his audience's average income is higher than mine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for sharing. Anybody else got any stories like that? No? All right. So I just want to thank everybody for continuing to be part of this journey towards success. You know, we all kind of started together in London, and it's great that we can kind of still keep in touch and help share information and kind of motivate each other to keep on going. So I just want to thank everybody.
Thank you.
And I'll most likely be in Colorado at the end of September and Vancouver in the beginning of October if anybody's around. I don't know if I will be visiting California. We'll see, but yeah, Colorado and Vancouver is on my schedule. September, beginning of October. So if anybody is close by, let me know.
Well, I think you have to swing through LAX to get to Colorado. So just take an extra year.
Yeah, if so, yeah. I haven't bought the tickets yet, though. So
yeah, I'm not sure Iceland has direct flights to Colorado.
Oh, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes. I got my cousins there. My cousin, yeah. I got my nieces and cousins there. I got family there, so I got an event in Vancouver, but I'm visiting Colorado just for my cousin, and yeah, then we got the. So I'm gonna go on a tour. I want to check out they got like grow house tours and stuff. So for for my future business. So and so we'll see.
That's where my husband and I are gonna move. We're planning on moving to Colorado.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never been there. I'm looking really forward to visit. My cousin has been living there for maybe 8 years now, so I need to go check it out.
Colorado is big for psychedelics.
Yeah, like apparently. I've been wanting to visit there like way before any legalization, but even more so now. So I'm going to have fun. I'm going to see my family and sample some of that. Actually, they might be able to hook me up with people. They have she has friends in the industry who are working with the big companies. So she might hook me up with podcasts in person with people, at the top. Charlotte's Webs and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. So we'll see. But if anybody of you guys is around, so I would love to meet up. So
yeah, that sounds good. Well, we'll all keep in touch through this group, and I think we'll all see each other again really soon. We'll just keep in touch. We'll keep on the journey to success, and when we're all making a lot of money, we'll fly in for a reunion.
Okay.
Yes, that's the plan.
Good idea.
Great job, everybody. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
Bye.